Welcome back to Better by Next Week, where this episode will be unpacking a lot about King of the Hill. So, Dad, welcome back to the studio. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling not too bad. I've got a little bit of a croaky voice from the event. And so we're going to dive a little bit into the King of the Hill event that I did on the weekend. This episode's called Not the King of the Hill because I wasn't the King of the Hill at the end of the event, I suppose. But we thought we'd do this episode just to kind of give the listeners an insight on what it kind of takes and what it looks like during an event, before an event, and after event from you obviously crewing and me competing. And it's so kind of fresh in our minds and my throat.
Well, I mean, why is your throat like that? Were you talking a bit too much? Or
yeah, well,
you
I
and
do.
Roscoe?
Yeah, well, I do a fair bit of talking, and there was a lot of people on that start line. A couple hundred people started that event, and I'm all about giving advice, and maybe sometimes I should just take some soothers or something like that just to soothe my throat.
We probably should do that for the next event. I didn't even think about that. But no, like you said, there's a couple hundred people, and I think it's the second year of the event, and they're already at this amount of people. And
yeah, it's amazing. Well, let's first off, I guess, for anyone who doesn't know what King of the Hill is, do you want to describe to our listeners what?
So basically, it's located in Kilmore, just outside of Kilmore. Pylong. And you drive up and you just see this hill and it's like, oh my God. So basically it's a 4.2 kilometer loop, and they call it the King of the Hill, but it's actually King of the Hills because you climb up 2 hills. And yeah, so you do that every hour. So it's basically like a backyard ultra format, except 4.2K is about 260 meters gain roughly, I believe.
I think it was it ended up being almost 280.
Wow, okay.
But the way they did it was that 4.2K is the equivalent of running 100 kilometres every 24 hours. Similar to a backyard ultra where it's 100 miles every 24 hours, but backyard ultras tend to be flat as a pancake, whereas this was nuts. So every 29 to 30 hours or so, you're climbing up and down Mount Everest. So it was pretty tough.
Well, this leads into my first question. How did you find it compared to a backyard ultra? Because I actually looked at the statistics and someone said something about comparing the grade adjusted pace or whatever. I don't know how they did it, some math. And it's actually like 7.2 kilometers flat. Right?
Oh, is it?
So it's actually harder than a backyard ultra essentially. So how did you
that makes me feel a lot better that I pulled out when I did. Well, it was weird because obviously there's always different factors. People talk about grade adjusted pace. And for anyone that doesn't know what grade adjusted pace is, on apps like Strava and Garmin, what it'll do is just say you're running a 5K run or whatever it may be at parkrun, say for instance, and it's completely flat and you run it at 6-minute pace. So what would happen is if you ran that 5K on a hilly course and it might have, say, 100 meters of elevation gain, Strava and Garmin and those apps will adjust the pace to tell you that if it was flat, how fast you were running. So if you ran 6-minute Ks on that, it might be the equivalent of running 5-minute 30s.
We don't know the math around it.
Yeah, the stats are irrelevant at the end of the day, but it is a bit of a confidence boost when you're going for a run and you have a grade adjusted pace of 4-minute pace, and you've been crushing hills, and it feels amazing.
Yeah. Well, but back to your question.
Back to the question. So yeah, in terms of how it felt, I always say that backyard ultras that are a little bit flowy and hilly do tend to be a bit easier, although they've got that gain. The strength in your leg, you need a little bit more strength in your legs because that's what it requires. But I found that it was nice. Like I kind of walked up the hill and then I kind of tried to jog as fast as I could down the hill. It was quite steep, and then there was a nice flat section. So you found that your muscles got a rest because you were constantly using different types of muscles. And when you finish the loop, it almost, I don't know, it's almost like a technical genius from the King of the Hill guys. They made it so that you climbed the hill at the start, then you come down and you do this small flowy bit, then you climbed another hill. And at that point, you said to yourself, I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. I'm not doing another one of these loops, nothing like that. And then they'd throw in this last kilometre section that wasn't that hard. It was easy. It was flowy. It was a little bit downhill. It was soft underfoot. And just as you're about to cross that line, you're like, you know what, that's actually not that bad, because you'd forget how crap it was, 2Ks earlier when you were, going up those two hills. So it was very hill dominant at the start of the course.
Well, in the backyard ultra as well, you're constantly impacting like the same muscles, like you said, and that probably can lead to like a niggle in one spot, an overuse injury. And a lot of the time, I find that backyard ultras do have injuries. But this time, you didn't actually pull out because of an injury. Like that's how far you push it at a backyard ultra. And I was looking at your shoes today. I'm like, God, they look like they're in good nick. Because the grass didn't tear them up. So, I mean, if you're looking to go to an event that doesn't tear up your shoes,
yeah, that's right.
Go to King of the Hill.
The ground.
Because, it was completely nice compact. It was all grass, wasn't it?
Yeah, most of it was grass. Some of it was a little bit single track as well. And that was like a real nice little flowy bit that I always looked forward to on every single loop. But what I also found is that people still got sore. People got more muscle sore than what you would normally get at backyard ultra events and other events in general. I suppose you get tendon and ligament sore because you're pounding the same, like you're using the same movement and stuff like that. But what I found is that a lot of people were talking about their quads being trashed, like the inside quads coming down hills, sharp hills. And although or your calves as well, because my calves, they were killing. For the first couple of hours, I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, all right, when's the moment coming when my calves are going to stop hurting? And it came, but then my quads started hurting. And then I was talking to a gentleman out there who was struggling a little bit, and he was saying that the inside of his quads were hurting. And this guy was built like I looked at him, and physically it looks like he was in the gym every day working on all that strength work. And he was getting sore, even in those muscles that I thought that, but I just said to him, I go, mate, just keep going. You'll be right. You just keep going. Something else will hurt. Sure enough, it did. And he actually reached out to me after the race and said, you were right. I was focusing on that. But then after a while, what I found is that something else started hurting. So
yeah, that's a message I saw. He actually, it was something about it was 6 or 7 hours, and then he ended up going 24 hours.
Yeah,
he said.
Yeah, so
I found
it
it incredible.
awesome.
And actually, as well, there was one predictor that we predicted that would happen throughout the race, and it was the quads. Everyone's quads would be trashed because of the downhill. And you even were coming in and saying at hour 24 is the amount of hurt you felt at hour 7 in a backyard ultra.
Yeah, so that's what I felt like that toll took on the body. But I found that was probably, although I only made it to 64, I timed out on the 65th loop, and I made that statement that I only felt like I was on hour 7, hour 24. That didn't age very well, that comment, because I dropped out at 64. But what that showed me was that I had the strength to go 24 hours and make it feel like only 7 at a backyard ultra. But as we pushed further, the strength endurance in my legs wasn't quite up to scratch and wasn't what it needed to be to match it with the top couple guys.
I want to kind of cut to the chase here. All right. Are you going to do it next year? And because obviously Satch Amps is around that time. What's going through your mind there?
Well yeah, it's a really tricky one. I know that as we speak, we're
constantly waiting.
We're waiting. I did make a silly comment, and my mouth normally gets me into trouble. You have to excuse me for using my phone, but
we have to check the views.
But we do have like a view counter on this reel for God knows what reason. This reel is up to. What is it? It's up to 976,000 views, and it's me walking in, going to sleep.
But you know what? You say that right, but it's actually a quite good insight into what this stuff takes.
Yeah.
Because you came in, I ran over because there's like a little viewing point, and you had told me it's like I think you were stressed about having to walk too far because we were a bit in the nosebleeds section, and you wanted to sleep right then and there. And you told me, and I had maybe a minute spare to hurry up. So I bolted back to our camp, grabbed a chair. I was throwing everything around. I'm bolting over with your phone, with this blanket, and I'm putting it down. I just got there in time, and there's a.
Oh, it's
and
funny.
I hope the person who commented this, he went, "Geez, he had to." It was something about bro had to walk a marathon to get to that chair, and I hope he is listening to this because he doesn't know the effort I went to get that chair in there in the first place.
Yeah, it would have been an ultra marathon. But getting back to your question, right? We just went on a tangent. So I made a little comment with the King of the Hill guys, which was quite funny. I said, if my reel gets 1 million views, I'll come back to King of the Hill. And the reel was at 700,000. I thought, there's no way this thing's getting to 1 million. I've got some time. And they made sure that everyone knew about that.
Oh, sure.
And Alex put up the funniest reel I've ever seen.
Oh, we're actually going to put it up on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll put it up. We'll put it up for everyone to see. And it is so funny. I was peeing myself watching it.
Tim Kaprazak said if his reel reaches 1 million views, he's going to be back on this hill come 2026. So get it! Have a look at it! We want him here! Come on!
But now it's up to 976,000, and I think that it's going to tick over, and I'm going to end, and I am going to sign up. I am going to sign up to King of the Hill. How that looks logistically for Sat Champs, which I am currently qualified for, but there is still a chance that I might not make the Australian team if someone goes over 82 hours and knocks me out. So I'll see how that goes. Otherwise, I am going to do everything in my power to train so hard to make sure that I'm ready to represent Australia, and then 2 weeks later go and back up and go on the King of the Hill course again.
That'd be legendary.
And I'm gonna channel my inner Harvey Lewis, because I know that he's managed to back up after doing 90 hours at a backyard ultra to going and doing Badwater 135.
Yeah.
So I'll probably reach out to him and ask for some advice about how to recover. But what I think is going to be the key to something like that, for me to be able to pull that off, is I'm going to have to start doing a hell of a lot more strength work, and I'm going to have to do a lot more on my nutrition and things like that, like less inflammation in foods, and just I'm actually looking forward to the challenge, to be quite honest, because I love both those events. I want to be at both those events, and if I can pull this off, I'm gonna retire from running if I can back up 2 of these events. So that's the answer to your question. Yes, I want to do both events. There's only I know 25,000 views on Instagram is a hell of a lot, because when we're doing our reels and if we get 2,000, when we get 2,000, we're pumped. We're like, oh, this is awesome. Everyone's looking at our stuff and enjoying it. And now we're like, oh yeah, it's going to make 25,000.
It's funny how something like that puts things into perspective. But I also wanted to comment on Sat Champs, and I don't think it would be that of a bad idea though if you pulled out and you let someone come in and who has a chance. Like I know, like this Ezra guy who's winning Sydney's, he's winning Reds, and he hasn't even hit his limit yet.
Yeah, I think.
And sorry to cut you off. He's not. He's isn't even on the large list. I don't believe.
Oh, he'll get that Ezra Nico guy will get on the He'll get on that large list no matter what. I have no doubt he'll be on the Australian team. He's a force to be reckoned with. So I guess it'll be like I don't necessarily want to do that. I love the team atmosphere of that. I've been at the last 2, and
it's
if
amazing.
I can help the Australian team, hopefully win, beat the Belgians, it would be one of the most amazing achievements of my running career. Yeah. And then to back up and go with the King of the Hill guys, because that event was nuts. King of the Hill is one of the best organised events I've ever been at. I've been at a lot of events. The live stream, they promised things about that live stream, and I was thinking, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull that off. got drones on the hill, a full commentary tent. I've gone back and looked at some of that stuff, and it was nuts. I had your mum tell me last night that friends of ours who looked after one of our dogs when we were away, they were following along and stuff like that. And our friends' parents, they were watching the live stream, and these guys are in their 60s, 70s, probably 70s, early 70s, and they were watching the live stream during the day. They'd gone to bed, and then one of them couldn't sleep, and then they woke up the other one at night, and they're like, oh, what do you reckon we put the live stream back on? And these people are in their 70s, right? Going, like, watching the live stream that these guys at King of the Hill had put together. You know, that is just nuts. If you're attracting that kind of audience, and then you've got other people just in the chat. When I went in there and did my little interview with Alex, he said that there were people in the chat going, go Tim, go Ross, go Gaddy. Anytime anyone was looking like they were struggling, people were trying to will them on, and you could feel that energy out there. There was just something out there at that event that just felt amazing, and not to be part of that next year I would hate not to be part of that.
But it wasn't even just the live stream as well. It was just everything that was so well put together. I can't wait for that doco. The amount of clips they were putting out there. And I'm devastated to see that a video like the one that we have, nearly at 1 million views, is that. And it's not one of those epic videos that they took. They took like incredible videos. Yeah. Like, I thought it was amazing.
Whoever is doing their media is like, and I think a few of them are involved with that, but they are doing an amazing job. Even the music behind some of these clips. Like, I was watching, and you know what I found amazing? You know, often people say, oh, Tim, you always dig deep, you always drain the well, you always do all these things. And you always think, oh, no, that's just me. I just race. I don't enjoy pushing myself to that limit. I do afterwards because I know I've given it everything, but you never see it. I've never actually seen footage of myself, what I actually look like, and that's hard to watch. That was really hard to watch. And I watched back the little clip that they put together as I was going up the hill, saying, you know, why do I need to prove to myself that I can go up a hill, 64 times? Like, yes, I get it. I can get up and get back down. So why am I doing it? And like, seeing myself like that, even just sitting on the ground, I just didn't want to do it, but I willed myself up and I got away. I was watching it. I almost felt like I was watching it from an outsider, watching this person do this, and I almost had tears in my eyes for myself. I felt sorry for myself that that's how far I push to find my limit. And yeah, it was something else. I was pretty pumped to watch that, and to have those guys put those things together, it was amazing. And you know, even some of the other stuff, like I watched the clip of Gaddy today finishing with his son there crying and watching his dad finish, and like I commented on that post, and I said, you know, that's what it takes to set an example for your children and for your friends and for your family, to show them that you're like, I often look at leaders, and leaders don't just, order people around. Leaders actually lead. They actually step out first. They step out in front of everyone else, and they show everyone else how something can be done. And often to do that, it hurts because you're the first one doing it. And I look at Gaddy, and that's what he was doing. He was doing that for his son, stepping out in front of the world, putting himself, in a really vulnerable position, right? And it's all on camera. It's all out there, but he's like, no, I'm going to show my son that this is what you do. And it's okay to fail, but you know what? I left it all out there. And then his son's going to look back on that in years and go, that was my dad. I'm so proud of him. So, I mean, that's what King of the Hill did for us by telling this story. They told stories around it all. And these guys aren't experienced in ultra running commentary and any of that. They were, a lot of the stuff that they were commentating, they were just kind of going by what they felt. And and they nailed it. A lot of stuff that I've watched was just on point. It was really good.
Well, a really special moment with Gaddy and me and Brad. I actually don't know how to say his last name. It's Brad R. It's how do you? We're not gonna say. But Brad and I, we saw Gaddy turn back. I'm like, no, and we both bolted up there, and he's about maybe 200 meters in, and he's walked back to the 100-meter mark, and
we seen him. Me and Ross turned around and looked, and we're like, no, Gaddy, keep going, and he's like, no, I'm going back, and we're like, oh no, Gaddy's not going. He's not going to keep going.
Yeah, and I'll keep it PG friendly because I did swear, because you sometimes swear because that's the swear word you need to pump someone up in a way. And I basically just told him, and I hate how I can't swear on this at times, but and I'm not going to because we'll keep it PG. But it was like I told him that the training, he was the most trained person here, right? And that belief in someone else, I feel like that really pumped someone up. So he kind of started turning around. And then he was a little bit down, head down, and I went, Gaddy, because I like to look back on what I would tell myself in the situation if I was normal and conscious and everything. So I told him, I'm like, Gaddy, you might not believe me right now. You might think right now, this is the worst situation you ever want to be in. But I guarantee you, please trust me, that you'll look back on this moment and you'll go, I'll do anything to get back to this moment. And then that's all. He went up the hill, conquered it again after he said he couldn't. And then he got back around to the halfway point where we could go up to a viewing point. And I went, Gaddy, you effing beast. You're a flipping beast. and he went out and smashed another 4 loops. Yeah. I just love it. I love it. And even with you were telling us, it's like, I can't go up that hill another time. And what did you do? You went up that hill another time. I just think it's incredible how we put this limit on ourselves and we can't, and we achieve it.
It's the hurt.
I know.
It's the hurt. It's the pain. We're in so much pain. We just want the pain to stop. And it's not that you probably used the wrong wording. It's like, because you don't want to turn around and say, I don't want to do this, because that's what you signed up for. And so when you're digging so deep and you're so far in that pain cave, you don't want to turn around and say, I don't want to do this anymore, because it feels like you're quitting. But when you turn around and say, I can't do this anymore, it's almost it gives you that out that you want, because it gives you the opportunity to say, oh, well, I can't. Like, I physically can't get up there. And then when you do it and you prove to yourself that you can, then you turn around again and you're saying to yourself, oh, I just don't want to.
Do you think there's a difference between wanting to quit and deciding to quit?
Yeah, I think you never want to quit. You never want to quit. But then deciding to quit, you've actually had the thoughts have run through your head. You've done some ticked some check boxes and said, okay, I've decided to quit for these reasons. But wanting to quit, I never want to quit. That's one thing. And then you'll never even hear me, because I know that when right at the end when I had had enough and I'd ran past you and we had a bit of a moment.
Yeah.
And I
wasn't
happy.
A bit of a cranky moment.
I had a bit of a cranky moment with you because I looked at you and I said to you, I go, why don't you just let me quit? And that's a bit unfair.
That was PG.
That was the PG version of why don't you just let me quit? But I think in that moment, and we've had a conversation about this post-race, and it's a real hard one because actually I'm not super proud of myself for kind of putting that on you as well, because it's a bit unfair that for me to say, why don't you just let me quit? Because essentially I can quit whenever I want. I can turn around and say, no, mate, I can. But then you're there going, no, I know that I believe in you. Keep going, Dad, keep going. And I'm essentially saying, why can't you just let me? Why can't you just say it's okay to quit? But, I mean, it's the conversations that we have before races, isn't it?
It sure is. And, well, part of why I was a little bit like that towards you at that halfway point is because, and I know we put it in perspective where it's like you get these short bursts of, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up this hill. And then it's like, oh, no, sleepy again, right? And one of these moments for you was when you were trying to get into the corral with 5 seconds to go, you went the wrong way and we're like, no, quick. And you bolted into there, right? And that was that one moment, right? Where you had that short burst of, all right, I'm going to do this. But I think what that is that truly reflects what you want and desire. I think that even that you having that one big this spurt of energy is that, no, I don't want to quit. Right after you said, I want to quit. And I know we talk about, I just think I don't want to say it's an excuse. I just think that's what you want. That's a reflection of what you want, that you don't want to quit.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to quit, but I did see the footage of myself, my head down like this, rubbing my forehead, saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't, and I just needed that. I suppose I just wanted someone to say, yeah, it's okay to stop, but
But you know what's funny as well, because I did go to Dad and I switched up. I'm like, no, I'm super proud of you, regardless of whether you win or not.
What did I say?
And then he's like, so you want me to die out here or what? I'm like, that's not what I just said.
I got a little dramatic.
But the thing is, he was still holding on to that conversation that we had prior on that loop.
Yeah, I was. And, like I said, I'm not proud that I got that cranky 65 hours into an event. But it just it goes to show there's things that I still have to work on. I've got to allow my crew to motivate me, and maybe even talk to my crew how to motivate me in those really dark moments.
Well, we've had that conversation as well, because I often try to motivate someone based off what I like I said before, what I would tell myself in that situation. And I like to be almost not forcefully told, but like a bit of an aggression in a way. Like it's like a big pump up. It's like, you got this. Whereas you explained to me that's not what you are. You what do you like?
I like my feelings to be validated a little bit.
And actions. You like the actions.
Yeah. I don't like when someone brings to my attention that there's something wrong with whatever it is. In life in general as well, it's a pet hate of mine when someone says, oh, that person, why are they doing it that way? They don't know what they're doing. And I often turn around and say, well, what do you suggest? Oh, I don't know. I just don't like it that they're doing that way. That's a pet hate of mine. If you don't like the way someone's doing something, suggest an alternative. Start working towards, rebuilding something or fixing something. And for me, that's what the you've got this and the go Tim, you've got it's great. It warms my heart. I really do appreciate it. But in those deep, dark moments, I don't get the energy, as much energy from those things, because I'm a real thinker, and I need practical problem solving. So in those moments, for me, when it's really dark and I'm really struggling, and you can see that I'm tired and all that, if you actually gave me some solutions of what you're going to do for me as a crew, and this is putting a lot on your crew, don't get me wrong. I don't. If this doesn't happen, I'm not gonna blow up.
He's not saying like supporters around, just
yeah, my crew, my crew in general, I suppose. And I mean, everyone's different. So, but for me, it's more if you had turned up and said, "Hey, look, Dad, all right, we know you're struggling. We know you need some sleep. We need to get a 51-minute loop so that you can get 5 minutes sleep. Then what we're going to do, we're going to actually back it off. Then you're going to be able to have a little bit more walking breaks. We're going to do a 57-minute loop. And then again, we're going to go back down to a 51, 52. Yeah. And then it gives me a plan. What I don't have the ability to do is to look too far ahead. I'm not quitting. I've got a goal. Now I've got something to work for. But I'd lost hope at that end point, I suppose.
Because what Dad does is he gives me this look when I tell him to run a little bit faster.
Yeah, I do give you a look.
He gives me a very big
I give you a look and I'm like, oh, I've really had enough, mate. I really can't do this. But, I mean, you did a wonderful job. My whole crew did the best job that they could. They had me out there for 65 hours on that hill. That was such a tough course and such a tough event. And
Weather was brutal.
the weather was brutal. You guys were drying shoes in that tent of ours. You were drying clothes. I was changing this. I was changing that. 1 minute I'm stinking hot. We're putting ice down every single arm sleeve that I had. We're putting ice on my neck. We're washing me. We were doing this. We were doing that. We were feeding me. I had nausea issues at hour 50. I'm throwing up in a bucket. And then next minute you guys are like, okay, we got to regroup. And then you guys changed some stuff. I was drinking some water. I think you guys reached out to Gabby Villa. Did you guys reach out? You reached out?
Yeah, we did, because often I find with you as well, is you want that validation, like you said, and you want some expert advice. And of course, we're going to reach out to Gabby Villa.
Yeah, and Gabby was so nice with her advice.
She always is nice, because she just instantly straight back response, and it's awesome.
Yeah, do this for the next few loops. Get him doing this, and then what happened? We got it back on track, and then you yourself got me back on the tailwind, and we slowly introduced more and more, and it got me back on track. But that's what kind of cost me. Those probably 5 or 6 hours where I probably should have been banking that sleep for that night.
We were worrying about different issues.
Yeah, we had different issues, but we should have been banking that sleep. And then hopefully the things that happened that night wouldn't have happened. I think I finished up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So I was only like 4 or 5 hours away from daylight. If that sun had smacked me on the face, it would have
never know. It's always a what if.
Yeah, it is a what if. But at the end of the day, by the look of the videos that the King of the Hill guys put up, I think I drained the well pretty good.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It was funny for me because it wasn't so much funny for Dad. I find it's actually ironic how there's a sign out there saying, "Have you ever seen a grown man cry in the bush?" And that's exactly what Dad was doing. He was sitting on the ground crying, having a little bit of a sook. And I was recording it, and I this was after you cracked the sides with me, and I was recording it, and you're like, "Stop recording me." All right. And I'm like, okay. So I held the phone to my chest, still recording him, and I recorded it the whole time. And I think that's a really good video to have for your memory, just to be able to look back on what you were like, because you probably often get described, "Oh, this is what happened to you. You looked like this. You looked awful." Whereas now you have an actual visual of what you look like.
Yeah. And I don't want to get to that point again.
But you always do.
I always do. I don't know why, but that, for our listeners, that is one bit of advice that I will give.
That's not an example. You don't have to.
Well, you don't have to, and it can. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be dangerous as well. I watched back the live stream of just that 20 minutes when that was going on, and I thought, oh, I wonder what was happening on the live stream. And the King of the Hill guys were fantastic. They were sending medics over. They were discussing whether they would let me continue going. They were going to assess me, and they were saying we cannot have him on the course waddling around like that. Little do they know that's how I end every single one of my races.
I had in my notes. I'm like, do they even know Tim Caprizak?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, but that goes to show that they care. Actually care about their athletes, and they're still learning as well. They'll come to understand that people are trying to find their limits, and that limits often can look, that sleep deprivation limit can often look like that.
I want to get your take on this question. I have to read it from my laptop because it's actually pretty big.
I'm going to have a sip of this King of the Hill water.
Oh, okay. So I might crack
King
mine
of the Hill
open.
water.
That's awesome.
Yeah, these guys went all out with this shirt's nice, everything. Like I said, these.
Open mine. There we are.
Yeah, King of the Hill, still mineral water.
I haven't had this.
Hey?
You had a little bit at the event, but
Cheers.
I haven't had it.
Yeah, I did have a little bit. It's off the hill. It's the tears of everyone that rolled down the hill. You see it? That's what they did. Everyone on the hill that cried, they bottled up their tears and put it in cans for us to drink on the podcast.
This has a lot of Dad's tears in it.
Oh, a bit salty. Go on, so what was your question?
Well, on a different note, this is a little bit more of an emotional question. So, I often feel just as upset as you do during an event. I'm pretty open about it, but I think I tend to take a burden on myself. Not because of you, but because I really don't want you to fall short of your own expectations. that's probably why it sometimes comes across as I'm pushing you out there. I'm a little bit forceful. Do you often feel that vibe, that energy from me when in that moment?
Yeah. I mean, it's happened a few times now, but do you notice it never really happens? It only happens at the end. So I don't feel that weight that you carry and then you want me to succeed at all during the event. It's only at times where I start to struggle, and it actually sometimes feels good. Like when you guys fixed my problem with my nausea, and I got back on track, I was super excited. I wasn't only super excited for me, I was super excited for you because I knew that how pumped you'd be. You'd be thinking, oh, he's not quitting. He's back on track. Yes, we fixed him up. And that feels good as a crew person. I'm sure it felt good. Like it would have been you, Joel and Mum probably would have thought, been high-fiving and saying, yes, we've got him back on track. It's all going well. But when it's at the end and I know what you're talking about because it's hard. It's almost like we're both working against each other. You've got all these big high expectations of what you want me to achieve for me, and I'm looking at you and going, I do not want to see my son see me quit. I don't want you to, because I'm trying to set the example for you to then, move past what I've achieved in my running. And, as my career winds up, I hope to see you achieve 10 times more than what I can. But for some unknown reason in my head, I think that the only way that can happen is if I show you how far, you can go. Now, pushing as far as I do at times, it's not great. But, I mean, the wonky donkey stuff at the end, that's just sleep deprivation. Look, it's tough because I look at you and I want to set a really good example for you. And I live by it, and it's one of my core values to make sure that I'm setting the best example that I can for you guys when it comes to chasing your dreams.
This has happened on many occasions. Like down under when you DNF'd at Satellite Champs as well. I feel really upset. I almost feel like I've failed you in a way.
You reckon?
I feel like that as well. And we had a
Do you know what I feel when I see you like that? I feel like you're disappointed in me.
Yeah.
I think that's what gets me.
And we had a deep conversation on this last night because you were like, you didn't know if I was disappointed in you or not. It's not that. It's that because, and for this event, it was because Dad was a little bit confused about why I was constantly pushing you out instead of just letting you stop. But because I've seen you either win or pushed till you're about to die down under, right?
Don't say that.
Seriously, like that's what you do. That's Tim Kaprizak. That's why these guys are seeing you wobbling and like, who are, and that, I just, that's the, and now having this experience, it's like, okay, I got to know that fine line between you killing yourself and,
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't think I'm going to kill myself, but yes, I am
making yourself very ill.
Not even that. Like, I think the sleep deprivation is almost like everything that someone sees, anyone that would have watched any of the videos, any of the footage, everything that you see towards the end is sleep deprivation, and everything looks 10 times worse when you're sleep deprived because you look drunk. When someone's been drunk, and like I was probably like tipsy drunk. Oh, that's how I looked, right? Now someone wouldn't look at that person and go, "Oh, geez, they're killing themselves," right? No, they've just probably had one too many beers. They'll be right. They'll wake up in the morning. They'll be fine. But what everyone else said is that he hasn't been drinking. He's actually so sleep deprived. So that's what it looks like from an outsider, I suppose.
Now, if you don't want to feel really sick after a hangover getting drunk, make sure you just run an ultra marathon because that's how you get to see your great hallucinations, and you wake up the next morning and all you feel is your legs are a bit tired.
Yeah, that's right.
I have one more, a little bit of a deeper question, and then we'll get on to some basic practical questions, maybe that people want to hear some takeaways from the event. So we talked about it last night where you were looking at these other athletes, and obviously they're completely on another level, that insane effort. And you were like, I think you said that I'm not an athlete, right? And I know that might sound crazy to a lot of people, but I think at the time you were probably just making an excuse as to why you probably couldn't get to that next level. But I want to know, because I, in my whole heart, believe that you can be as great as Piotr or those guys up there. And I just think, like, why can't you? And it was like, I just think that you, and I remember saying this as you were coming past and you cracked the sides at me. I'm like, you are capable of so much more than what you think. And I'd be so interested to see this year, or for the rest of this year, leading into Satellite Champs and King of the Hill, if you dedicate so much time and effort going all in to be able to see if you can become at that elite level, because I believe that you are. But coming back to my question is, do you think that there's a sense of fear that you don't want to take it to that next level because you're scared of what's going to happen?
Oh, that's a tough question. You know, like if you rewind 2 seconds about the going all in, I mean, our listeners obviously don't know what goes on behind the scenes to the training that is involved in at this level. But when you're putting in, 17 to 25 hours of training a week, working 40 hours a week, we have a little farm here as well. Also, your sister does sports, as well as your mum. You like to do all your running stuff as well. And we also run this podcast. Going all in, I think, from a life perspective, I think I'm all in.
Yeah.
If I probably took out some of these things.
Are there sacrifices that you think you can make?
I don't think I could squeeze any more time out of my day. I don't watch TV. I very rarely do I scroll on.
Everyone has a little doom scroll.
On doom scroll. I just don't have time. I actually don't have the physical time because I'm putting a lot of that time into trying to create this podcast into this amazing thing where me and you together are helping everyone, get better. And I don't get me wrong, I get a hell of a lot out of it. On that start line, people coming up to me saying to me, Tim, love your podcast. Love the advice. Keep it up. You know what? That pumps you up. It pumps you up because you're helping other people. So I can't sacrifice that. That's not something I want to sacrifice. So, and that does take up a lot of time. But like I just said, I do have 17 to 25 hours to train if I need to. I think if I just restructure it, maybe I could get better. Am I scared? Am I scared of what could happen if I went fully all in? Like I said, I'm not scared. I think that there's always different reasons why people do things and why. Like often people will ask, why. And some people know this that have had personal conversations with me. They'll say, you have this wonderful relationship with your son and this and that. And why is that? And I'll be honest, I probably didn't have the best relationship with my dad. So for me to have to turn the tables and to try and make sure that you have a good relationship with your dad, that's really important to me. So some of my athletic endeavors and things like that are often, and the way I push, are often steeped in who I'm trying to impress, like wanting to impress him. And that's not a great motivator. I think I've dropped that over time, whereas now I tend to just do it because I really want to do it. So when I look at guys like Piotr and those guys, they are athletes. But to say that I'm not an athlete, I guess you're right. Maybe I am in a sense. But then there's been times that people themselves have said, "Oh, you're not an athlete," when I started out. So yeah, I don't know whether some of that comes in the mix when I'm talking to you and saying, "Oh," or is it just an excuse for saying to myself, "Hey, I don't want to put in the work to become that athlete." I'll find out, because if I commit to both these races next year, I'm going to have to go all in. And there are sacrifices that I can make. There are things that I can still tweak to make sure that I'm ready at the age of 43. It's going to be tricky, but I'm up for the challenge. That's one thing I do enjoy doing is setting a goal and saying, hey, you know what? By that day, I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to be as ready as I can be.
On a side note, I love the concept of going all in, because I've actually quite experienced going all in right now, and I find that if you want to maybe not spend as much time on social media, going all in a goal that you have really makes you have no time in the day for something like doom scrolling. Because for me, I find it's running, it's school, it's podcast during school at times, it's podcast, and it's running again. And I fit in eating, sleeping, in all of that. Working, I do work. I do forget that sometimes. But going all in is the greatest thing. But at times, it can be so tiring going all in. And trust me, it is so, so, so tiring. But that's what makes it exciting, because it's like, oh, how am I going to deal with this? And I might get a comment from one of my teachers. It's like, oh, you look a bit tired today. I'm like, yeah, I am tired. But that almost gives me a validation that what I'm doing is working.
But do you think that going all in is it a necessary evil of becoming successful?
I had a quote that we were going to say on a different episode. And I don't want to say it now because it's a very long quote. Actually, there's a board over there. Maybe I can you... We might have to...
Curse of competence?
Yeah, it's the curse of competence. Please get it, because it's so fitting for this. We're going to have
I'll read it for you.
No, okay, yeah, you read it.
Curse of competence. If your goal...
Maybe I'll read it.
If you're good at things and have high standards...
Oh, God, give me the point, because you cannot...
You should always do well, which means that success isn't a cause for celebration, but it's the minimum level of... reasonable performance. Anything less than victory would be a failure, and victory
itself
would be a failure, and nothing more than...
Maybe you should just get the board, because...
Do you want me to go get the board?
Yes, please. Because I want to read it, and you were a bit choppy there.
So, I know, but yeah.
All right, we'll just take a break for a second, because that's it. I'm
going to get this board.
We're working in that small space our studio is. It might look big, but...
Okay.
All right. I can read it. Ross just standing there.
Okay.
No
worries. There you go.
All right.
You can even look straight at the camera and read it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, someone can make a really good edit out of this. The curse of competence. If you're good at things and have high standards, you assume you should always do well, which means that success isn't a cause for celebration, but it's the minimum level of reasonable performance. Anything less than a victory would be a failure, and victory itself becomes nothing more than acceptance. Congratulations, you might be very successful. You also might be very miserable.
So
that's what I actually often find out with myself, because I set such high expectations of myself, and if I don't get it, then I'm very miserable. But it's going that fine line. It's redlining it the whole way, and that's it's thrilling.
Yeah, but you have a look at, say, the King of the Hill event, and if the three guys that finished ahead of me didn't turn up, I would have won on 60, 61, 62 or something like that hours. And I wasn't that sleep deprived then. I would have won. Everyone would have gone, oh, my God, how amazing this performance is. I would have gone, oh, this is such an amazing performance. I can't believe that, I got this. And all it took was 3 guys not to turn up. So what's the lesson there? The lesson is that you don't compare yourself to others, because you will diminish your results and your performances and what your achievements are, because essentially that's what you're doing. Because the fact that I pushed to my limit and I found it, and okay, I didn't win. That's okay. But if those guys didn't turn up, I would have. But it's irrelevant, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's irrelevant whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. So I was at that start line, and I know on all the footage and stuff like that the King of the Hill had, I said that I was prepared to run for 100 hours. And I still stand by that. Not physically, my body was ready to run for 100 hours, but things go wrong. It doesn't always work out. But, you got to set big goals. It didn't happen, but I couldn't care less that I didn't, because I just didn't. But you can't compare yourself to what others can do. Otherwise, like I said, you'll never be happy.
Yeah, it's honestly right. I think also that one thing I've been experiencing a lot lately is that fine line again, and whether or not it's burnout by going all in, or it's just hard because it's what greats do. I always see reels that are like, it's hard. Of course it's going to be hard, because if it wasn't hard, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah, but how hard?
Yeah, I know.
How hard do you have to make it?
That's what I mean. It's
because you don't know. You don't know.
And it's setting that expectation on yourself.
That's right,
as
because everyone's turning around. You're looking at these reels. Everyone's saying, if you're not working hard, then you're not going to be successful. And then you get someone that's super accountable, that's working their ass off, and then they end up destroying themselves. Or you get someone because you find someone that can find the balance, and they're working hard, but they're also, like you said on last week's episode, train hard, but also make sure you recover hard.
Yeah, well, it's actually a combination of things, because I found when I was doing my 5K training block for 12 weeks, went to do my 5K and missed out. It was the second fastest time, less than 20 seconds in my fastest time. Then the next week, I ran 67 Ks out on trails, 2,000 meters gain. And then the week after, Phil Gore came over and I ran a 5K PB.
Yeah.
After running 67 Ks the week prior.
Yeah.
Without having much whole training block. And the difference there was that I was relaxed. So it might be a combination between hard work, the discipline, the early mornings, the late nights, but also being relaxed on race day.
Yeah, and knowing that you've done enough. So when I turned up to the start line for King of the Hill, I stood there with all the other athletes, and I said to myself, I've done everything that I can. With the time that I've got in my life, the way I do things, I've done everything I can. Now, and the result was what I deserved. Now, if I want more, then yes, then I can go and work a little bit harder for next year, and then I'll get the result that I deserve there. But that's the only way to find out if you're going hard enough or not, because if everything goes perfect in your event, then you can say to yourself, okay, everything went perfect, and so I don't need to work any harder because I did what I did. But when things don't go right, then yeah.
I like saying to a lot of people, and in hindsight, it's true, but the winner is actually the true loser.
Yeah.
Because why? They never find their limit.
Yeah, they never find it. But you know what? Some people don't even look at it like that. I look at Blaine and I look at Piotr, and those two guys at King of the Hill, they were there to race each other and to win that money.
Yep.
And that was their goal. They weren't there to chase their limit. They're not everyone's wired like that. I might be wired like that because that's where I see victory. I see victory in my limit, not in winning money or any of those things.
That's a side thing for us.
Yeah.
It depends on what you prioritize.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I wanted to ask you, what were the kind of, so we can help some people for next year for King of the Hill, What were your 3 biggest tips for crewing someone doing King of the Hill?
All right. The first one is know your athlete. I know it sounds super simple, but know their needs, know how to motivate them. I clearly probably didn't know how to motivate you as much before the event, but now I do. And I think that's such an important thing. And it's going to be so strong when you go into your next event because you'll be able to push them so far than what they're capable of. The second one, I would say get a plan. Is sometimes when it's very chaotic when a runner comes in and you're trying to throw everything at him, right? And we reflected, me, Mum, Joel, we were thinking of going one person is going to be in charge. It's like, and we make that a statement. It's like, okay, Ollie, you're going to be in charge of this loop. You're going to do this, 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 and you're going to, and then Joel, you're going to be doing this, 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 and then Mum, you can be this, 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 or someone can be recording as well. So I think having set roles for somebody is super important. And alongside with that roles, another tip is having a night shift person. I found that at Sat Chance when I was crewing you, I got so sick afterwards because I was trying to do everything, all right? Having a day shift and a night shift person is super important so everyone's getting an equal amount of sleep.
Yeah, I think those if your crew's not getting enough rest, they're going to start to struggle, and then me as the competitor is going to come in and see them struggling, and I'm actually going to feel guilt that I'm putting my family or friends through this trauma with me when I'm the one choosing to go out there and do this. So I think that that's important.
Well, I have a similar question. What are your key takeaways that you've learned physically but mentally as well?
Yeah, so my key takeaways for someone that's going to be doing King of the Hill next year, be prepared for all conditions and be very flexible with what can happen. We had 30-degree heat with no shade. We had super cold temperatures overnight. We had pouring rain. We had a thunderstorm come through. The hill got super slippery. There was so many things going on, and you just have to adapt. It's one of those things, be super adaptable and train in all those conditions. If you're the type of person that sees that it's raining or windy outside and you say to yourself, oh, the wind's going to clear by the afternoon, I'll just do my afternoon run instead, don't. Go out in those crappy conditions, because that's what I did. I just went out in the crappy conditions every single time. It was blowing a gale. It didn't matter what times it was on Strava or on Garmin or whatever it was. Who cares what the times are? You're there to train for this event for all conditions, because at the end of the day, if you don't, then you're not going to know where things can go wrong. One thing I found, which I regret, is that I didn't do a longer session on hills, because I went there with 8 pairs of shoes and I found myself being able to only run in 2. And one of them was not ideal either, because I had a size 9.5 topo and I had a size 10 topo. And what I found was that the 9.5 was spot on. It was really good. But the 10, which I got as I thought my feet might swell a little bit, my feet didn't really swell. So I
think that it could be as well because of the impact on the ground and
grass?
grass?
I think that the nature of the terrain was a lot nicer, so my feet didn't swell up as much. So all I wanted was this 9.5. So I had 8 pairs of shoes there. I could only really use one where I was super comfortable. And when it was raining, they were like, it was wet as hell. It was just crazy how wet it got. And so going down the hill, I never experienced in my training sessions, which were up to about 4 hours on a hill. I think I should have pushed it a little bit further, because there were spots that I got blisters on both sides of the heel in the exact same spot. Not once did I experience that during training. So train in your gear so that when things happen, when things go wrong at an event, you're ready for them. That's a big tip, because people, you can get it wrong. You can get it wrong really bad. For the hot weather, my tip for the hot weather, right? I bought on Amazon, I bought like an 8-pack of these cheap arm sleeves, and every time I went out, you guys stuffed ice in the top here and on my wrist there, and we've spoken about how good it is on the wrist there. So I had that there and there, right? By the end of the event, I think I had three. I brought three of those arm sleeves. I ended up just using one, and the other one I gave to Gaddy, and another one I gave to Morgan. And by the end of it, all three of us were walking out with ice in there.
Amazon buddies.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And it worked. Geez, it worked well because I didn't feel the heat. It was 30 degrees. I didn't feel the heat at all. Also used a neck buff with some ice as well. So kept me cool, and that was really good. That worked really well. Aside from, those things, like do the strength training. I think I dropped off with my strength training a little bit towards the end of my training block, where I probably could have done a little bit more. King of the Hill requires a lot more strength work than like a backyard ultra where it's a bit flatter, because you're hiking up that hill constantly. You just need that strength in the legs to be able to get up and down those hills. So they're probably my main tips for.
And mentally as well, we've spoken about how it took a toll on you. Do you think what's one thing you'd change going into next year?
Well, I think you need some. We always talk about having a good why you do things. I think that my why going into this was really about, finding my limit, and when I found that limit, it's funny because I find with me, I think that finding my limit will translate into a performance that's worthy of a win, but sometimes the winning is beyond what your limit is. So if you're not willing to go beyond your limit to win, then you'll never win. So I think next year my goal will be to win, and I don't care about my limit, because the win is the most important thing. So that's for me. But for someone that's going in there into the event, set your goals nice and high so that you can try and achieve them, whether it be 24 hours, 30 hours, to run with a friend, to motivate people. I found that helped me a lot by trying to motivate other people as well, by saying, hey, you've got this, giving a bit of advice. Hopefully it was welcomed at times. Sometimes, as you can hear, I've lost my voice, so I did a little bit too much encouraging at times. But, yeah, I think that's really important, to set your mental compass in a direction that's gonna get the best performance out of yourself.
When you say winning, do you think that relates to the curse of competence, where anything less than victory is a failure?
No, I don't think you can't look at it like that either, because I think if you think that winning is the be all and end all, then you're always going to be miserable. You're going to be all like,
it's the curse of competence.
Yeah, it may very well be, but what if you never win? You go back on a career, and I think it's the same. There's a story about there was a drummer. I think it was a drummer or a lead guitarist in Metallica back when Metallica first started, and they kicked him out, and then Metallica became like the biggest band on the planet, and he was so angry, and he started another band, and he was never happy. This guy was never happy, right? He ended up being like the lead guitarist. I'm pretty sure lead guitarist in a band called Megadeth, which happened to be the biggest death metal band on the planet, right? But he was still never happy because he wasn't in Metallica like he was originally. So it goes to show, like, you've got this success, but just because you've gone and compared it to something else doesn't mean that it's not valuable. It is. Everything, it's always valuable. Whatever your performance is at the end, it's valuable. But if you want to win, your why needs to be, I want to win, not I want to find my limit. And I think a lot of our listeners will find that they may not have the goal to win, but they may very well have the goal to do five loops, or one loop, or two loops, or whatever it may be. But King of the Hill is another awesome place to find where your limits are and have really good goals. And, you know, people would have seen that on the live stream and all the reels and everything that was coming through. Everyone wants to be a part of that because they can see that these people are achieving these amazing things. And guess what? We're all just ordinary people wanting to achieve epic things.
Success is just different for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you reckon?
We get into
some questions.
Yeah.
We get into some questions because we're running. Geez, we've been going for a while. So I mean, we've been jam packed with stuff from King of the Hill and what our thoughts were. But I reckon that we had a hell of a lot of questions that were really cool, and we'll pick these apart. But I also think that what we'll do is any that we've missed or any that have come after we've recorded this podcast.
We'll answer in a different podcast.
We'll either answer them in a different podcast or we'll put up on our social media stuff.
Yep.
So, and if anyone's listening, go to our social media pages, follow along. Same as, Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating if you can, if you think. But just follow along because we've got some really cool stuff coming up. And I'll share a little bit of it when we're finishing up the podcast. But we do have some epic things coming up with sponsors, with a sponsor for the challenge that we do every single week, which will be prizes for our guests. And we have a really special episode coming up just before Christmas as well, where we review a heap of awesome stuff that we've never used. And hopefully some of those brands, can help us out, and we'll be able to give some of those things away as prizes.
But even also going on to betterbynextweek.com, we have a website there. We go into a lot of detail with our blogs. If you're ever interested and you find that we don't go into enough detail on the actual podcast, you can always go into the blogs. We do one weekly and
Yeah, so we got heaps of different blogs, all about different things. There's things about, how to, when aging, what things are better to do when you're aging a little bit. Strength training, how sleep affects you, how to get the best out of your crew. There's so many different little blogs there that go in depth and really help people out. And same as our weekly newsletter. We've had people reach out and ask about, because we're in our first few podcasts, we reflected on the week's challenge and how we went and things like that. And we've kind of shifted away from doing too much reflection on the podcast. And what we've done, we create a reel and we also a YouTube video that's a link in the newsletter. So sign up to the newsletter because that's also a couple minute read. There's a quote in there. There's a couple other things in there that you can read in 2 minutes and get
motivation.
Yeah, that's right. And then you'll see how we went with the challenges, how other people are going with the challenges and things like that. But let's get into
that's the end of the promotion, we promise, and we'll get into our questions.
It's not a promotion. That's just telling
We're pumping our wheels up.
No, right, yeah. Okay. All right. No
Leave
worries.
a 5-star review.
Yes. All right. Cool. So how about we get into these questions?
Yeah.
So I'll do the first one. How technical is the King of the Hill course? Are you able to zone out or do you need to be switched on? So it's the ups and downs. They are quite technical. I found that as long as you pick a good line, you can get up and down it pretty well. The downhills are torture on the quads. And what ends up happening, because you're constantly trying to step on tussock grass to stop you from sliding down. Now, when the heavens opened up and we got like 30 or 40 mil of rain in an hour, it got super slippery. So trail shoes, highly recommended. We are not sponsored by Vibram, but if you've got a shoe that's got a Vibram sole, stick to that because that sole is so grippy and it will really help you out. So, but there, in terms of flowy bits, the last K, probably 1.2 Ks, definitely you can zone out. It is paddock grass, but because so many people had ran over it, you could kind of zone out for a bit. So it's a bit of a mix. There's a bit of paddock running, there's some like single track stuff, and then there's some technical up and down hill. So So you almost got to train for everything.
I might also add that it is a bit technical as well in the village because Dad took a bit of a Superman tumble.
Yeah, because that was because someone left a peg in the ground from their setup.
He just nipped it. I'm like, oh my God. And also that when I did a little bit of a session up there, it's actually your perception of distance is very out of whack. Like I thought I was running 400 meters and I got to 200 meters. So it feels long, but it's short in hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, the course doesn't feel that long. You do tend to break it up in your head. That's one big thing. It wasn't a question, but if you're thinking about how the course runs, if it does feel short enough for you to say to yourself, hang on, I'm already here, or I'm already halfway. Oh, I've only got this K left here. It's nice and flowy. I come back. That's how I break courses up anyway. Do you want to do the next question?
Yeah, so I had, are we going to MVP?
Oh, okay. So for anyone who doesn't know what MVP is, it's a backyard ultra at Maribyrnong Valley Park, MVP. And it's
not most valuable player, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it's a pretty cool name, though.
Yeah.
So we will probably be there in some form, whether it be crewing or a family member or crewing a friend or something like that, or even volunteering. We love it.
We love it.
Yeah, we love that event. We got a really good relationship with Trails Plus and Brett Saxon and his team. They're awesome people. So
we've actually been there like 3 years in a row.
Oh, I think we've been there every year in some form.
Yeah.
Whether I've raced it a couple of times. You've raced it twice.
Yeah.
Mum's raced it once. Misha's raced it once.
Yeah.
We crewed Joel when he won. So yeah,
that's where it's at. It's an awesome vibe.
Yeah,
there.
it's an awesome vibe. So yeah, we'll definitely be around. If Brett even lets us set up, you know what we should do? We should set up the Bitterbond next week tent there and do a live podcast.
Oh,
from
that would
there.
be epic.
So, and then what we could do, anyone that's dropping out, we could get him in, and anyone that wants
just
to,
interviewing people.
we do interview people. So maybe we could do that. Yeah.
All right.
So
Good idea.
Good idea. We didn't think about that. Okay, anyway, so that wasn't King of the Hill related, but definitely, yeah. So we'll likely be at that event. So, all right. So what was your biggest gear challenge? Wet shoes, clothes, etc. So definitely wet shoes. That was a big challenge for us. Also finding shoes that didn't give me a blister on the same spot. I found that Blaine got a blister and tore it up on the exact same spot as well. It's nothing some tape doesn't fix, but every time I landed on that spot going down that 400 meter section of hill, it was like someone was cutting me with a razor blade. So it was super uncomfortable. That was probably my biggest challenge. The shoes. Definitely the shoes.
Okay, well, next one was what long sleeve are you wearing?
Oh, when was that?
No. That was just a trick question. But so that someone was obviously confused that you were wearing a long sleeve, but what were you actually doing?
Oh, yeah. So we had the arm sleeves. We kind of mentioned that. We had arm sleeves, and they were just cheapies off Amazon because I'd not used them before, and I thought, oh, well, I don't know how they'll go. But I got the white ones. They were UV protected. I didn't have to put sunscreen on my arms on the hot days, and we got to stick ice in them. So I don't know. We might even look into seeing if we can get some better by next week ones. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't be too expensive, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it is awesome. It definitely helped you get through those hot days.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So I had the next one. Would love an insight into plan for nutrition, pacing, sleep. King of the Hill 26 will be my first last man standing. Right. So nutrition. Oh, you know what? The one thing I do suggest for people is a template. Have a template that they work off. So hour by hour gives your crew an opportunity to see what's next, what's coming up next. So I have like lap 1, and then I'll have whether I've been to the toilet, because that's important, so you can kind of monitor your hydration and how your bowel movements and stuff like that to make sure that everything's okay. Also have some notes there, and then I'll have the bit of food that I'm having for that loop. the tailwind and the consistency that I have, whether it's half a scoop, 1 scoop, 2 scoops, or whatever it may be, to get my carb intake around that 50 to 60 grams of carbs an hour. And then, it might have some more notes about shoe changes, whether I'm brushing my teeth, showers, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what my nutrition plan kind of looks like. Pacing plan is based around sleep. So it was tricky with King of the Hill because I was just kind of going to feel every lap. Next time, I think.
Well, we were very inexperienced with it too. We, going into it, thought there was one pace and that's it. But now that we know that there are flowy sections. And
so now that we know the course better, I think I'll push a little bit.
So, if you're going into your first one, understand that there's different paces that you can run on this hill.
Yeah, that's right. And
maybe not so much up the hill, but definitely on the flowy bits.
Yeah, and I definitely think that people need to understand that you have to depends on what your goal is. If your goal is 5 loops, then just go to feel. But if your goal is 24 hours, 48 hours, or whatever it may be, and you're going to need sleep, then you're going to have to incorporate sleep laps. For me, there were sleep laps, and I did have them marked on my plan to go a little bit faster at night and things like that. In terms of sleep,
we're going to refine this as well for you.
Yeah, we'll refine this for me. But, I think we did okay. It did kind of fall apart a little bit when we got less time, but I was banking a lot of sleep at night. I was coming in, Joel was kind of tucking me in, giving me my headphones, and off to bed I'd go. And I was getting so normally first night I'm getting lucid dreams. By the second night, I'm actually kind of out of it. By night 3, you were seeing me, it was head down, out, and then back. So, kind of play it by feel, but the more sleep you get, the longer you're going to last, because that is the key in these events.
Okay, next question. What brand of tape for taping your toes? Currently using something that's a bit thick. So what brand of tape do you usually use?
Well, it's called Fleximal tape. It is a little expensive, but you just get it at the chemist, and it's super thin. It's super durable, and it works fantastic. There's a wider one. There's a slightly less wide one. Usually the wide one I'll put sometimes on the inside of my legs if I've got a little hot spot where I'm chafing. Even on my feet, you just put them on. You preemptively put it on. Obviously your toes, but if you've got any hot spots or anything like that on the heels or in arches of feet, that Fleximal tape is fantastic.
And also combining that with like some sort of lubricant like Squirrel's Nut Butter, Body Glide, but make sure you don't put the Body Glide on first because it will not stick.
100%. So we had a question. How did the first 24 hours compare to a traditional backyard ultra? We kind of mentioned that during the show and earlier on. But, definitely it is different. It is definitely different. I found it to be easier until I found it to be harder because I found it easier because there were moments that at the start where it was really hard because I had to get up a hill, but then at the other end of the spectrum, it was super easy and flowy on the back end of it. So I had that kind of spectrum of hard and easy. Whereas at a backyard ultra, a lot of the ones I've done are the same elevation, same pace, same terrain, and it's easy, but then it gets hard really quickly because you're just pounding the same muscles all the time.
I reckon this is our last question. Who was standout performer for you?
Oh, okay. So standout performer for me was a young guy called Sam Gladman, right? He was only 20 years old and he ran for 39 hours. He came flying past me on that downhill countless amount of times, and I'd never heard of the guy. I'd never seen him, and I thought I knew most of the people that were going to go long at King of the Hill. And I was looking at how are his quads not trashed? Mine quads were killing me, my knees were killing me, and he was flying past me. And then next minute, like I'd kind of overtake him on a different bit, and then he'd be flying up past me, going up a hill. He was so on off. It was crazy. But I did hear a rumor that his longest run before King of the Hill was like a 20 or 30K run.
And he does like steeple racing as
Yeah,
well.
he does steeple racing. And so he's done 160 Ks
Everest.
and Everest.
Oh,
And that's the most that he's done.
it's crazy. It definitely
that
inspires
was
me.
my standard. Obviously, you can't go past Blaine and Piotr. They were amazing. They are amazing athletes, and that was an amazing performance.
But this guy was just out of nowhere.
Out of
in a way.
nowhere for just obviously Piotr won last year, and Blaine's got an amazing record. But this guy was definitely my standout for the event. What about yourself? Who was the standout event for you? Standout person for you from like the sidelines watching it?
For me, I going back to that special moment with Gaddy, I feel like that was a really big standout moment, and to see him be able to push out further, and I know he's a name that has been referenced a lot, but I still don't think he got what he wanted, but I still think that he was able to push out those extra loops, and that inspires me. It truly does. And he sent me a really nice message afterwards thanking me for motivating him. I'm like, you're a legend, Gaddy. That's all I had to say because he's a legend.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's nice to see that you kind of. I mean, there was so many standout performances, and there was a lot that I suppose I missed in the first 24 hours because I was kind of in, out, like maybe a little bit faster than some others. But watching back, which is another reason, the King of the Hill guys, they showed everyone's moments. People that had ran 5, people that ran 7, tears coming over the line. There was a guy that got taken down on a cart coming down the hill. Like, everyone had a special moment at King of the Hill, and it was such an epic event. And, the community that these guys have built and the energy that they bring, it's something else. I've not seen it before. There's 5 or 6 of them that run the show, and they're all bringing their own unique thing to it. And I think that's why it's doing so well. You don't have one person trying to do everything. And that's why I think a lot of other events, it's a lot harder for those events to do what King of the Hill are putting on because they don't have the big team around it. And these guys are putting so much love into this event that it shines through. And sponsors and everyone else is wanting to jump on board because they can see that energy. So, it was just phenomenal. It was an awesome event. I was so wrapped that I was part of it, and some of the blocks didn't fall in place for me for other events this year towards the end of the year, and I'm kind of glad that happened because I wouldn't have been able to experience King of the Hill, and these guys have really changed the way I think about this event.
Do you have anything else that you want to touch on?
No, I reckon.
Well, in saying that, let's bring this one across the finish line then.
All right, let's bring this one across the finish line.
It's been a long one. What have we been going for? An hour and a half?
Yeah, almost an hour and a half. We've kind of, we've talked.
Waffled, but, it's been good. I've had some fun.
That's one thing that you didn't get to try is the maple roux waffles.
Oh, damn it. That's okay because, actually, I won't say.
No, we won't say.
We won't say.
That's part of another episode. But yeah. So what do you reckon we get into our challenges?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so you want me to go first?
I will, yeah.
All right, so my challenge, my Better by Next Week challenge for this week is the one thing challenge. So I want you to write down before you go to bed one thing that you did well for that day, right? One thing that you learned for the day, right? And one thing that you'll do better tomorrow, okay? So I want you to just, and they don't have to be massive things, but I want you to, write that down, and our listeners, write that down and see by doing things like that and reflecting and setting only one goal for the next day, all right? And I'd like you to try and do it for more than 1 week as well because I think it's a real powerful way of getting yourself to where you want to. I've been seeing a lot of these ads come up about journals and the man journal and this and all that and writing down. It's real powerful if you write down your goals and all that kind of stuff and, having a big goal. And I know that the other week you showed me a little diagram of what you'd written. I want to do this for Western States, and I want to do all these things. And I think that's really powerful to have that, write it down because that's your goal. But that's so far off in the distance, those things. Whereas this is actually now. This is tomorrow. So it gives you almost like a plan to stick to every day that you say to yourself, I want to learn. It might be, I want to learn tomorrow how to create a better reel than what I have been. I want to learn how to add music behind my reels or whatever it may be. This is obviously for you. And for me, it might be, I want to become a little bit more efficient at this because it's taking up too much time. So actually invest 5-10 minutes in thinking about something, because often we get stuck in a routine of just doing whatever it is that we just keep on doing. There's so many inefficiencies in our lives that we can, refine and make them better. And by actually reflecting and asking ourselves, what's the one thing I did good? What's the one thing I did bad? What's the one thing I learned? What's the one thing I did well? And what's the one thing I'll do better tomorrow? So yeah, if you could do that.
That's awesome. This is definitely giving me Kobe Bryant vibes, because one of his mantras.
Do you think I'm Kobe Bryant?
Of course you are. You're the GOAT. Because one of his mantras was looking at the mirror, and he's like, was I better than yesterday?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's a really great way to get in the spirit of Better by Next Week.
Yeah, that's right.
So this challenge for you this week is more suited for your needs right now, your recovery. So my Better by Next Week challenge for you this week is to hop on the Zwift bike. I know we've had it for a very, very long time, and you actually you've went on it once in the setup. And I think it will be perfect for you for your recovery, especially after this event. And it helps a lot of people get back into that, getting out of that down. And I reckon for a lot of the King of the Hill athletes, if you've got a bike out there, just do some cross training. It'd be awesome. And it helps you progressively get back into training and back to your peaks.
Yeah, I think that's a really good challenge. I'll definitely get on the Zwift bike. If anyone that's listening doesn't know what a Zwift bike is, it's a virtual trainer.
Yeah.
So it's just like an indoor bike trainer. Some people have them. For our listeners, if you don't have one and you are recovering from an event, or you actually want to know what it feels like to cross-train and things like that, I know a lot of gyms have casual memberships where you can go in and pay $5 or $10, and this challenge is only a week. So
there's also things like ellipticals as well that are in gyms, bikes that are in gyms.
So take that opportunity, because it's only a week. Take that opportunity to maybe spend $10 or $15, go in 2 or 3 times, and just see what cross training, how it makes you feel. And then you might actually find that
you might integrate it into your daily.
Yeah, that's right. And you might actually go out and buy an indoor bike or something like that. Jump on Marketplace. People are always selling them, especially a couple of months after New Year's, when people stop doing their New Year's resolutions. That's the best time I find to buy stuff.
And the best time to go out to Yangs as well.
After it, because normally, the first week after New Year's is when everyone's running around and doing the New Year's resolutions, which hopefully they hold, but sometimes they just don't stick, I suppose.
Cool. Well, that was an awesome chat, I think. Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of deep stuff as well. King of the Hill was an event for me that I really enjoyed, and it kind of pushed me against my limits and made me kind of reassess the way I do things and things that I want to change. And I was super grateful for my crew, my wife Rachel, my really good mate Joel, and yourself, Ollie. I can't thank you three enough for what you guys gave me out there. And the King of the Hill guys, from the bottom of my heart, I can't believe the event that they actually put on and how much fun I had, because it was something else. And all the people that were out there that I got to run with and chat to, these are all amazing people doing amazing things. And we had a heap of questions, which was awesome. But don't ever feel like you can't reach out to Ollie and I and ask us questions on the podcast, because whether it be on Instagram or Facebook Messenger, or email us at contact@betterbynextweek.com.au. Reach out to us, because we're always happy to answer questions, and we'll even bring them onto the show, because I think it's important that we all help each other, and it's how the community gets better and how we all become essentially better by next week.
Before we end this podcast, I want you to check the phone, check the views, and see if he's guaranteed to be joining
so
King
we'll
of the Hill
do
2026.
So yeah, I thought it'd be funny.
Actually, wait, you don't check it. I'll check it so it's a reveal.
All right. Well, you have to go back. Yeah. So yeah, obviously, if we hit 1 million views on me falling asleep, I was gonna sign up to King of the Hill 2026, right? And we thought it'd be funny if it was during the recording of the podcast. And what is it at?
Unfortunately, it's gone up 12,000. We still need 14 more thousand, so 986,000
people have watched that reel.
So it's gone up 12,000 within this chat.
Oh my God! I reckon I'm going to wake up in the morning with a message from King of the Hill.
Where's your purchase?
Where's your purchase? We're ready. We're ready to take your money for 2026. No, that's awesome. Yep. That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll just we'll finish up and thanks heaps for listening. And we really hope that you enjoyed the kind of recap that we had on King of the Hill. We touched on some other things as well. But yeah, we'll crush your runs this week and yeah, we'll see you next week on the podcast.
See you later.
See ya.